There are two great forces inside you, and they pull in opposite directions. One pulls you downward toward the earth, toward your body, your appetites, your instincts, the ancient animal drives that have moved living things since the beginning. The other pulls you upward, toward meaning, toward the more than physical, toward what we can only call spirit. Every human being lives stretched between these two poles, and how you handle the tension between them determines, more than almost anything else, what kind of life you will live. Jung wants to talk about these two forces, instinct and spirit, because the great error is to surrender wholly to one, or to try to crush one in favor of the other, when the real task of being human is to hold them both. He names the two forces clearly because much confusion comes from misunderstanding them. The first is instinct. This is the downward pull, in the sense of the pull toward your roots in nature, toward the body and its needs, toward the powerful drives that rise from the ancient animal depths of your being. Hunger, desire, the will to survive, to mate, to dominate, all the surging biological energies that you did not invent and cannot abolish. Instinct is the force of nature flowing through you, the same force that moves in every living thing, immensely powerful, older than thought, the very current of life itself. It is not evil. It is the ground you stand on, the energy that animates you, the roots that connects you to the whole living world. The second force is spirit. This is the upward pull, the movement toward meaning, toward transcendence, toward what reaches beyond the merely biological. It is the force in you that asks why, that seeks significance, that is moved by beauty and truth and the sacred, that longs for something more than the satisfaction of appetite, that can sacrifice a lower good for a higher one. Spirit is what makes you more than an animal, what lifts your eyes from the ground to the stars, what gives you the capacity for meaning, for art, for devotion, for the search after a significance that no instinct alone could ever conceive. It too is real, a genuine force in its own right, not merely a disguise or a byproduct of instinct, but a primary power of the human soul, pulling upward as surely as instinct pulls toward the earth. Jung must dwell on this point, that spirit is a primary force and not merely a disguise, because it is one of the great battlegrounds of modern thought, and getting it wrong distorts your whole understanding of yourself. There is a powerful tendency in our age to explain the higher, always in terms of the lower, to say that spirit is nothing but instinct in disguise, that love is nothing but appetite dressed up, that the search for meaning is nothing but a sublimation of the drives, that every noble aspiration is secretly a base one wearing a mask. This reduction feels hard-headed and scientific, and it has a grain of truth, for the higher is indeed connected to the lower and draws energy from it. But to say that spirit is nothing but instinct is to deny half of human nature and a real half. Jung observed the spirit working in the human soul as a genuine, independent power, not reducible to the drives, with its own aims and its own energy, capable even of opposing instinct, of saying no to a powerful drive in the name of a higher meaning. A force that can master instinct cannot be merely a product of instinct. Spirit is its own reality, and to deny it is to misunderstand the very thing that makes you human. And notice that the opposite reduction is equally false, the one that denies instinct in the name of spirit, that treats the body and its drives as a lowly thing the higher soul must rise above and leave behind. This too is a mutilation. The instincts are not the enemy of the spirit, they are its living root, the soil from which it must grow. A spirit that despises its instinctual ground withers, becomes abstract and lifeless, loses the very energy it needs to accomplish anything. So both reductions fail, the one that dissolves spirit into instinct and the one that severs spirit from instinct. The truth holds both as real, distinct, and necessary to each other, two genuine powers whose right relationship is the whole art of being human. Now here is the deep error that Jung saw people in whole ages fall into, and it comes in two opposite forms. The first error is to surrender entirely to instinct, to let the downward pull win completely, to live as nothing but a bundle of appetites and drives, pursuing satisfaction after satisfaction with no higher meaning at all. This is the life that has abandoned spirit, and it leads, in the end, to a peculiar emptiness and a kind of imprisonment, because the person trapped in pure instinct is caught in an endless, repetitive cycle, forever chasing the same satisfactions, never arriving anywhere, going in circles like an animal that knows only its drives. There is no freedom in it and no meaning, only the blind repetition of the same hungers over and over until the end. The second error is the opposite, and it is just as destructive, to try to crush instinct entirely in favor of spirit, to deny the body and its drives, to wage war on the animal in yourself in the name of a purely spiritual ideal. This is the error of the ascetic who starves his own nature, the person who tries to live as a disembodied spirit, despising the instincts as filth to be conquered. And this produces its own disaster, a bloodless, lifeless, ungrounded existence, a spirituality with no roots, no vitality, no living connection to the earth. The instincts that are denied do not disappear, they go underground and erupt in distorted, compulsive, often uglier forms, taking their revenge on the one who tried to abolish them. The person who makes war on his own instinct in the name of spirit ends not as a saint, but as a divided, repressed, secretly tormented being, his denied nature festering in the dark. So, the truth, as always, lies not in the victory of one force over the other, but in the right relationship between them. You are not meant to surrender to instinct and abandon spirit, nor to crush instinct in the name of spirit. You are meant to hold both in living tension, each giving what the other lacks. For instinct without spirit is blind, a powerful current with no direction, no meaning, running in circles. And spirit without instinct is empty, a meaning with no life in it, a direction with no energy to move along it. But when the two are rightly joined, something whole and human emerges. Spirit gives instinct its direction and its higher meaning, lifting the raw energy of the drives towards significance, so that desire becomes love and hunger becomes purpose, and the will to power becomes the will to create. And instinct gives spirit its life and its grounding, feeding the higher aims with the vital energy of nature, so that meaning is not a bloodless abstraction, but a living, embodied, powerful thing. The drives supply the fuel, the spirit supplies the direction, and only together do they carry a human being forward. Jung makes this practical, because it is easy to hear all this as a grand abstraction and miss how directly it bears on your own daily life. The error of one-sidedness is not only made by whole ages, it is made by individuals all the time in the small choices of living. Think of the person who has decided that his appetites are shameful and must be ruthlessly suppressed, who lives a tight, controlled, joyless life, proud of his discipline, and who cannot understand why he is so often irritable, cold, and secretly tormented by the very urges he has tried to crush. He has made war on his instinct in the name of a higher ideal, and his denied nature is taking its revenge from below. The medicine for him is not more suppression, but a reconciliation with his own instinctual life, a willingness to honor the body and its drives as good, to bring them into the light rather than wage war on them in the dark. And think of the opposite person, who has surrendered wholly to his appetites, who lives only for the next pleasure, the next satisfaction, and who finds beneath the pursuit a growing emptiness and a sense of going nowhere. The medicine for him is not more pleasure, but the introduction of spirit, of meaning, of some higher aim that can give his powerful instinctual energy a direction worth moving in. Each one is sick from a different one-sidedness, and each is healed by recovering the missing pole. So in your own life, the question to ask is not which force is good and which is bad, for both are good and both are necessary. The question is whether you have fallen into one-sidedness, and in which direction. Are you starving your instincts in the name of a bloodless ideal, growing rigid and secretly tormented, your denied nature festering? Then your discharge is to come back down to earth, to honor the body and the drives, to let the living energy of instinct flow again? Or are you drowning your spirit in the endless pursuit of appetite, going in circles, vaguely empty beneath the satisfactions? Then your task is to lift your eyes, to seek meaning, to give your instinctual energy a higher direction. The goal in either case is the same: to restore the missing pole and to hold the two forces together in a living tension, neither crushing the one nor surrendering to the other, so that the powerful current of instinct is married to the high direction of spirit, and you become at last a whole human being, neither a starved saint nor a driven animal, but a free soul rooted in the earth and reaching toward the heights. This brings Jung to the deepest dignity of being human, which lies precisely in this capacity to join the two. The animal lives wholly within instinct, caught in the endless cycle of biological events, repeating the same patterns its whole life, with no freedom and no meaning beyond the drives themselves. But the human being, through spirit and consciousness, has the astonishing power to step out of that blind cycle, to bring meaning and freedom into what would otherwise be mere mechanical repetition. This is what it means to be human, not to abolish your instinctual nature, but to illuminate it with spirit, to lift the blind energy of the drives into the light of meaning, and so to break the endless cycle of mere repetition and become free. The person who does this is no longer simply driven, going in circles like a creature of pure appetite. He has taken the powerful energy of his instincts and given it direction and meaning through spirit, and in doing so he has become something nature alone could never produce, a free and conscious being, rooted in the earth and reaching toward the stars at once. Jung makes this idea of breaking the cycle as vivid as he can, because it is the very heart of human freedom, and most people never grasp it. Consider the life of an animal governed wholly by instinct. It is born, it hungers and feeds, it desires and mates, it defends and flees, it ages and dies. And the next generation does exactly the same, and the next, in an unbroken cycle that repeats without change or progress for 10,000 generations. The instincts run their ancient course, the same patterns endlessly, and nothing within that cycle can ever step outside it, because there is no consciousness to see the cycle as a cycle, no spirit to ask whether it might be otherwise. It is pure repetition, the eternal turning of the same wheel. Now consider what happens when spirit and consciousness enter. Suddenly a being can see the cycle, can reflect on it, can ask what it means, can choose to act for a reason that is not merely the next push of instinct. That being is no longer wholly inside the wheel. It can introduce something new, something that was not simply dictated by the drives, a meaning, a value, a free act. This is the staggering thing that spirit makes possible, the breaking of the blind repetition, the entrance of freedom and meaning into a world that without it would be only the endless mechanical turning of instinct. And this is why the person who lives by instinct alone, even a sophisticated modern person, is in a kind of bondage he does not recognize. He imagines he is free because he does what he wants, but his wants are simply the old drives in modern dress, and he is going in the same circles as any creature of appetite, chasing the same satisfactions, repeating the same patterns, never truly stepping outside the wheel. Real freedom is not doing whatever your instincts demand, that is just obeying the wheel. Real freedom is the power given by spirit to step back from the blind demand of the drive, to bring it into the light of meaning, and to act from something higher than mere compulsion. The person who has joined instinct and spirit is free in a way the person ruled by instinct alone can never be, because he alone has broken out of the endless cycle of mere biological events and become the author rather than the servant of his own life. So here is what Jung wants you to carry away. You are stretched between two great forces, instinct pulling you down toward the body and the drives and the ancient energies of nature, and spirit pulling you up toward meaning and transcendence and the more than physical. The great error is one-sidedness, to surrender wholly to instinct, which traps you in an empty, repetitive cycle of mere appetite, or to crush instinct in the name of spirit, which leaves you bloodless and divided while your denied nature festers in the dark. The truth is to hold both, for instinct without spirit is blind, and spirit without instinct is empty. But joined together, spirit gives instinct meaning and direction, while instinct gives spirit life and power. This is the dignity of being human, to take the blind energy of your drives and illuminate it with spirit, breaking the endless cycle of repetition and becoming a free and whole being, rooted in the earth and reaching toward the heights at once. If this named the tension you live in, write 2 words in the comments so you mark it and so others find it. Write both forces. And tell me which pull is stronger in you right now, the downward pull of instinct or the upward pull of spirit, because knowing which way you lean is the first step to restoring the balance. And when you are ready, come with Jung to the next one, because the spirit in us has a strange power to find meaning even where reason sees only blind chance. There are moments when an accident, a coincidence, feels charged with significance, as if the universe was speaking to us. That is where we go next.